Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Salim Akhtar Malik, your host at the Observation Post channel. This channel is dedicated to discussing matters of national and international importance. I request you to please subscribe to my channel. It is free. In this session, we'll be discussing about lies, deceit, and the lust for power, the political dimensions of the 71 war. Soon after the 1965 war, riots erupted in East Pakistan when Awami League demanded regional autonomy on the basis of Mujibur Rahman's 6 points. In 1968, a secession plan known as the Agartala Conspiracy came to the fore, and Mujibur Rahman, along with 34 others, including a Bengali CSP officer and personnel from the armed forces, was tried for treason. Mujib and his co-conspirators described Agartala a hoax. For almost 40 years, Awami League and its mentor, India, had been denying the existence of Agartala conspiracy and citing it as one of the main causes of Bengali estrangement against West Pakistan, an excuse for the Indian-sponsored insurgency in East Pakistan. On 7th March 2010, Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina Wajid confessed that her father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, did plan a comprehensive conspiracy to break Pakistan into two pieces with the help of the Indian government. On 22nd February 2011, Shaukat Ali, the surviving co-conspirator and deputy speaker of the Bangladesh parliament, confessed to the parliament at a point of order that the charges read out to them at the Agartala tribunal were correct, stating that they had formed a Shangram Parishad or Action Committee under Sheikh Mujib for the secession of East Pakistan. Pakistan Army had launched Operation Searchlight in March 1971 in a bid to control the mayhem caused by the Awami League in reaction to the postponement of the National Assembly's inaugural session. By mid-May 1971, Pakistan Army had reoccupied all the major towns in East Pakistan and driven the battered remnants of the Mukti Bahini across the border into India, forcing the Mukti Bahini to seek training and guidance from the Indian Army for waging the insurgency in East Pakistan. Indian forces crossing the border launched a full-scale invasion of East Pakistan on night 20th and 21st November 1971, attacking simultaneously as many as 23 salients along the border. The purpose of these attacks was to knock the Pakistani forces away from the border and gain space for the establishment of firm bases to be used subsequently for launching major attacks. At many places, these attacks were beaten back by the defenders, that is the Pakistan Army. However, the much larger Indian forces kept the defenders embroiled. The government of Pakistan issued a proclamation of a state of emergency. Why was Yahya Khan reluctant to attack in 1971? In the Eastern Theatre, India had 2-1 superiority in ground forces, even without assuming any combat power for the 50,000 to 1 lakh Bengali guerrilla forces operating in Pakistan's eastern wing or on its periphery, a small portion of which had been organized into formal units by Indian trainers. Indian Air Force enjoyed 10 to 1 superiority in the air. No army, irrespective of how strong it is, can fight a prolonged insurgency cut off from its logistics base and with such a big mismatch. According to Henry Kissinger, the US Secretary of State in 1971, his country was not against the separation of East Pakistan and emergence of Bangladesh. But the United States had wanted it to happen in a peaceful manner. In his interview with Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Kissinger reported that after the opening of China via Pakistan, America engaged in increasingly urging Pakistan to grant autonomy or independence to Bangladesh. In November 1971, Yahya Khan, according to Kissinger, agreed with Nixon to grant independence in the following March, that is March 1972. Indira Gandhi, however, did not want a peaceful resolution of the civil war in East Pakistan. Instead, she had labored over a plan to invade the beleaguered Pakistani province and render the Bengalis beholden forever to India for assisting them in Awami League's quest for power. This would also enable India to keep the Bengalis under its thumb. In November 1971, India, leaning on the military treaty it had concluded with the Soviet Union in August the same year, invaded East Pakistan in order to preempt Yahya's understanding with Kissinger of granting autonomy or independence to the Bengalis. The Polish resolution. On 14th December, the most talked about and debated Polish resolution was tabled before the Security Council. Noorani, an Indian journalist, quotes an excerpt from Shehbaz Khan Mazari's book, A Journey to Disillusionment. Says Mazari, if the Polish resolution had been accepted, the ignominy of 17th December, that is surrender, would have been avoided. The fact that it demanded the transfer of power to the elected representatives rankled Bhutto. It meant a return of Mujib and the Awami League. Bhutto then would have been reduced in political rank. As a parliamentary minority leader, he would have been relegated to the peripheries of power. Bhutto was wary that he could not come to power in a united Pakistan. 71 war did result in carving Bangladesh out of Pakistan. But Indira failed to impose a Pax Indica, a period during which India would become the hegemon and wear the mantle of regional policeman. After the war, India-Pakistan rivalry shifted to a lower dimension where proxy operations against each other replaced conventional warfare. The tumult which gripped the subcontinent post 1971 refuses to subside even after half a century. It was determined by the personalities of Yahya Khan, Indira Gandhi, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and Mujibur Rahman. There was one thing common between the four of them, that is, they were headstrong autocrats who stormed their way through the crises and tried to impose their will on their rivals. That Yahya Khan was an autocrat was not surprising. After the war, Bhutto put Yahya under house arrest, less out of fear and more because of the likely embarrassment he would cause to Bhutto. Zia, after ousting Bhutto from power, maintained Zia's incarceration and shifted him to a rest house in the vicinity of Rawalpindi. From his rest house prison, Yahya appealed to Pakistan Supreme Court for a bail. His appeal was still under consideration when Yahya's lawyer prayed the court that the appeal should be set aside because his client had died. Bhutto was hanged for abetting the murder of a political rival. Aside from murder charges, there is no denying that Bhutto had made intractable enemies by persecuting his political opponents, at least one of whom was sodomized by police on Bhutto's orders. The gentleman also alleged that he was later raped by prostitutes while a provincial minister peeped through the window. This happened in Multan. And these internal enemies had lusted for Bhutto's blood. On night 3-4 April 1979, when told that he would be hanged after about an hour, the startled Bhutto asked the commander of his security detail, "Are you joking?" Indira Gandhi created Bhindranwale. She was gunned down by her Sikh bodyguards because they believed she was responsible for the massacre at the Golden Temple. I still remember seeing a sketch in the Time magazine portraying Indira Gandhi's last moments as she faced her executioners. She looked like a nervous animal facing the shikari. And finally, Mujib, along with his entire family members, less Hasina Wajid, who was in India at that time, was murdered when an army contingent stormed his house. They wanted to take revenge for a young girl who was raped and murdered by an Awami League politician. He came down the stairs and said, "What do you want to kill me? You are all like my children." I thank you. And thanks again for watching the observation post. Be seeing you.